At the start of a new year, join Boise State Public Radio as we explore the important topic of how to transform stress into strength in order to build a more joyful, resilient life. Join moderator Gemma Gaudette and panelists Kimberly Henderson, April Masaryk, and Sophia Godkin on Tuesday, January 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Idaho State Museum for this informative discussion. More details and registration is free on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear oral arguments in the law that would ban social media giant TikTok here in the United States. The Biden administration believes TikTok's parent company, which is owned by a Chinese organization, could be spying on Americans, jeopardizing national security. Opponents to this law will argue that it's a violation of free speech to ban the social media app. And here in Idaho, small business owners are watching this case closely because they say a ban will have major impact on their businesses that rely on the platform to grow and engage customers. So joining us today to talk more about this are Abby Tarver, one of the owners and founders of Call of the Wild Dog Sled Tours, and Ty Engett, owner and founder of Nimbus Neon Signworks. I want to welcome both of you to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Abby, let me begin with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your business? You're based over in Eastern Idaho.
Correct. So we are a small dog sled tour company based out of Driggs, Idaho. And then our tours also are located in Alta, Wyoming and Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
And so these are kind of once in a lifetime dog sled experiences, right, Abby?
Correct. A lot of people that are coming on our tours are saving up for years. This is a bucket list item for them.
And Abby, my understanding is that lots of folks who have gone on these dog sledding adventures have posted videos, right? And they post them on social media, including TikTok. And I'm curious, how did these videos impact your small business?
So with dog mushing and any expensive once in a lifetime bucket list item, a lot of people go to social media to see firsthand exactly what the experience is going to be like. Obviously, they want to be reassured if they are going to be spending quite a bit of money on any type of experience. And so when people go and they have a good time and are able to share that experience online, other people can have that information and they're more likely to book it if they know what they're getting in advance.
And so, Abby, I explain this as well, because my understanding is that because of a lot of these viral videos, your business was so impacted that you expanded the business. We're talking dogs and employees.
Yes. So we started our TikTok in 2020, which was when we started our business in 2019, 2020. And we actually have more than tripled our size since then. All of these videos have allowed us to buy a kennel over in Idaho where we can have a year-round location for our dogs. We are able to now not only operate at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, but we opened a second location at Grand Targhee Resort as well.
Wow. So Ty, let me bring you into the conversation. Talk to us about your business because you're in the Treasure Valley.
Yes, that's correct. I'm here in Boise, Idaho, which is the capital. And so my business, like you said, is Nimbus Neon Signworks. And so what I do is I specialize in neon signs, but I make all sorts of different custom signs and displays that includes shirts, hats, and all sorts of that kind of thing. And I don't operate. I'm not traditionally with a brick and mortar storefront like a lot of businesses in my competitive sphere are. I operate with a strictly online presence, and so in that way, TikTok has been indispensable for me in a lot of ways.
So let's talk a little bit about that, Ty. As you said, since you don't have a brick and mortar, you really do rely on social media. So you engage quite a bit on TikTok. How has that impacted your business?
Well, I mean, TikTok's much more than a social media platform. It's becoming a search engine for younger audiences. So these days, anybody that's, millennial or younger is very heavily relying on that when they want to find something that just piques their interest, whether they want to see what it looks like, they want to learn how to do something, or if they're searching for a product. And so more and more so, even if one is not using the TikTok shop feature, because there was quite a long time that I was not using that. and I was still finding that I was gaining business just because of the viewership on TikTok. But then the TikTok shop thing is another thing all in its own.
Mm-hmm.
Many people have the misconception that it's only cheap stuff from China that they'd be buying, but in fact, it's a direct link to a lot of small businesses like my own.
So I want to talk a little bit more about this, Ty, because for folks who aren't millennials, maybe a little older, I think there's a big misunderstanding about TikTok. I have two teenagers. My oldest is 16. You mentioned the TikTok shop. He came to me. I mean, and now it's just something in our family that I'm used to and I understand. But he came to me and says, "Mom, can I buy this thing on the TikTok shop?" And I was like, "Well, what?" I knew TikTok. I mean, I love some TikTok, but I was like, "What's this shop?" And I mean, is it legit? Where are you getting this from? And I had all of these questions. He's rolling his eyes at me, right? But it now, I mean, he buys a lot of stuff off of these TikTok shops, and it's legit. And so, is that part of it, Ty? Is that sometimes I think people don't understand what these social media platforms are, and that they go beyond just silly videos.
Well, absolutely. Like you said, there's a lot kind of beneath the surface of what's in the common lexicon, what everybody knows and understands about TikTok, and then what it also actually represents. And I think that a lot of people with the TikTok shop, for example, they maybe view it as something that's more along the lines of like Wish or Temu or one of these a little bit more, something that's consistent with a lower level of quality, at least in the public
Mm-hmm.
minds. But as with TikTok shop, I mean, oftentimes we can get lower prices on things because we're going directly to the business. And TikTok is very reasonable in their amount of commissions and everything that they take. So it really gives a lot of businesses an opportunity to flourish and get that direct to business to customer engagement that they wouldn't be able to really have any other way.
And that is one thing that I've noticed with the products that my son has purchased through the TikTok shop. They're cheaper than other places. And sometimes it's the exact same product.
Right. In some
Yeah.
cases,
So
TikTok will even put a promotion on it in an effort to gain a wider user base. They'll have promotions where they're paying for shipping or they're paying for a 50% off. Like sometimes their coupons can be very aggressively low priced.
I know, it makes you almost, and I think that's where the whole "is it legit" comes in, right?
Right.
But it is. So, in fact, Ty, when surveyed, 68% of small business owners here in Idaho said that when their products and services were actually promoted on TikTok, so I'm assuming the TikTok shop, they actually sold out of their product. So, has this been the case at all for you since you really started engaging with TikTok?
So for myself, I've definitely had some additional success with TikTok Shop, but really what's been helpful for me has just been the added viewership from TikTok itself. Because in a lot of cases, most of my products, especially neon signs, are customized, or they're just customized to
Mm-hmm.
such an extent that it requires a lot of communication back and forth with customers. So it's not necessarily something that's the most compatible with the shop. So I haven't had things necessarily like go viral and sell out in that context, but I have had many more people messaging me and asking for quotes and then ultimately buying products than I would have had otherwise without videos that were getting a lot of viewership on TikTok.
And Abby, what about you and your product? I know it's a different product, right? I mean, you're selling this service, but I would think that when these videos go viral, you would probably get more engagement.
Yes, I would say that because we are a service, it's not something that I really can sell on a TikTok shop per se, but the viewership does help get our name out there. And the thing for us is, yes, sales are really important for us. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
like that's how we survive as a business. But a bigger scope of that is just the community and, the people that aren't able to go on these dog sled rides. We're now able to reach out to them and include them in our community and have them virtually learn about sled dogs, because that's really the greater goal for us. It's not so much about, becoming this, huge business. It's about getting the word out that, about sled dogs and educating people about the
Mm-hmm.
sport that is kind of fading away.
So here are some statistics that I found in regards to Idaho and small business. So Idaho small business use of TikTok contributed $120 million to Idaho's economy last year, and it has supported upwards of 1,300 jobs. And small business activity in Idaho actually generates about $28 million a year in federal, state, and local tax revenue. So with that said, Abby, tell us then about, when you look at your business with a social media platform like TikTok or without it, Would you agree with these numbers in the sense of what it's done for your small business?
Absolutely. I think it is a really big part of why we've been so successful, especially in the dog mushing world. There are quite a few people in this industry that really are against social media. And so to even have that foothold in there like we do, I mean, we're going to be reaching a whole bigger audience that a lot of companies won't have access to if they're not using social media like TikTok. So I definitely think that it is a huge step up for any small business.
And Ty, where would your business be, do you think, without a platform like TikTok?
Well, without a doubt, I would say that it probably would be in the rearview mirror by now. I would just say that TikTok has been indispensable in terms of getting the word out there, and of course, I have my own website as well, where I have my online storefront. But it would not get the exposure that I need without TikTok. Of that, I'm positive.
Mm-hmm. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, the U.S. Supreme Court will be hearing oral arguments tomorrow in regards to the TikTok ban, which is set to take effect here in the United States January 19th, if something doesn't happen. So with that said, Abby, I'll start with you, and Ty, I'll ask you the same question as we wrap up. If this ban were to go into place basically in 11 days, or 12 days, how would this potentially impact your business, Abby?
You know, it would be something that's really sad. I mean, we're resilient. We have other social media platforms that we can hop onto, but none that have the same reach that TikTok does. So while I think, we'll survive, it'll be sad. And I do think it will be a big hit to our business. I think a lot of people do find us through TikTok, and they might not know how to find us in these other, social media platforms, or we might just simply fade into, the abyss that is all of social media. We have a really nice foothold and community on TikTok, and I think that would be really devastating for our business to lose that community.
And Ty, same question for you. How would a ban on TikTok in particular, do you think, would it impact your business?
Well, I think I would agree pretty strongly that ultimately I think it would survive. However, it would definitely be just a big disappointment to not have that direct engagement with such far reach, because there's no kidding there that TikTok does have better and more far-reaching organic contact made with many more people. There are other platforms that will, I feel, fill the void adequately if it happens, but there definitely will be like a stunting of growth that happens to an extent. Now, I think that in my case, I will definitely be able to adapt and survive. And a lot of my business is done face to face anyway, but I think that it'll be a sizable percentage that would be very unfortunate to lose.
Well, I appreciate this conversation with both of you, and really being able to expand the conversation and how a platform like TikTok does impact businesses, and then at the end of the day, impacts the economy from a local and a national level. So thank you both so much for taking time to talk with us. Really do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've been talking with Abby Tarver, one of the owners and founders of Call of the Wild Dog Sled Tours, and Ty Engett, owner and founder of Nimbus Neon Sign Works. We've been talking about how TikTok has helped them grow their businesses and the potential impact of a TikTok ban. The U.S. Supreme Court, as I mentioned, is set to hear oral arguments in regards to this ban tomorrow, and the ban is set to take effect January 19th. I'm Gemma Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters.
If you like podcasts like this, explore more from the Boise State Public Radio podcast family. There you'll find a mix of daily news, Idaho voices, and in-depth series on a wide range of topics. I'm talking wild horses, political scandals, sustainable ranching, and militia groups in a post-January 6th world. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Boise State Public Radio to find what Idaho's NPR station has in store for you.